So, have you ever heard of Edward Bouchet? If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't heard of him, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you don't miss any more deep dives like this one. Bouchet's story is pretty incredible. He was the first African-American to earn a PhD from an American university way back in 1876.
That's right, just over a decade after the Civil War. You know what's so fascinating about Bouchet's story is the incredible contrast. Monumental achievement in the face of immense barriers. He faced intense discrimination in pursuing an academic career despite his qualifications.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the state of things back then.
Yeah.
So let's rewind a bit. Edward Bouchet grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, home to Yale University. And get this, his family was closely tied to Yale. His father worked there after gaining his freedom from slavery, and his mother, Susan Cooley Bouchet, helped support the family by washing Yale students' clothing.
It's almost ironic, isn't it? This prestigious institution, Yale, representing both opportunity and oppression for Black Americans like the Bouchets. And yet, against this backdrop, Edward Bouchet thrived. He excelled in segregated schools, went on to graduate as valedictorian of his high school, and then attended Yale.
And he didn't just attend, he thrived. Graduated 6th in his class in 1874. And then there's his PhD research. He focused on measuring the refractive indices of different types of glass. Now, I'm no physicist, but I'm guessing there's more to this than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right. This might seem like a very niche area of study, but it speaks volumes about the rigor of early physics doctorates, measuring refractive indices, which is essentially how light bends when it passes through different materials, requires incredible precision and deep understanding of optical principles. It was a true scientific contribution, not just some simple experiment.
So Bouchet wasn't just handed a degree. He earned it through hard work and genuine scientific discovery. It really puts his achievements into perspective, especially considering the limitations placed on Black scholars at the time.
Precisely. But sadly, even with a PhD from Yale, Bouchet faced a wall of discrimination when he sought university positions. It's a stark reminder of the systemic racism that was rampant in academia during that era.
It's heartbreaking, really.
Yeah.
So what did Bouchet do? Did he give up on his academic dreams?
Not at all. He found a different path to pursue his passion for education. He began teaching physics and chemistry at the Institute for Colored Youth in Philadelphia, the very same institution that had supported his Yale education.
That's quite a full circle moment.
It is, and it's also where Bouchet's story intersects with a larger debate that was raging in the Black community at the time. The ideological clash between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington.
Ah, yes. Du Bois advocating for liberal arts education and full civil rights, and Washington emphasizing vocational training as a path to economic empowerment. Two incredibly influential figures with very different visions for the future of Black Americans.
Exactly. And Bouchet, with his background in science and his position at a historically Black institution, was right in the middle of this debate. Was his career a triumph against the odds or a tragic consequence of limited opportunities? His life reflected the tensions and complexities of that era.
It's a powerful question to consider. So after the Institute for Colored Youth, where did Bouchet's path lead him? So we left off with Edward Bouchet at a crossroads navigating the complexities of education and race in America. His time at the Institute for Colored Youth intertwined with the Du Bois-Washington debate. But what happened next? Was he able to break through the barriers he faced?
Sadly, those barriers persisted even after Bouchet left the Institute in 1902. Despite his exceptional qualifications, the doors of academia remained closed to him.
That's incredibly disheartening. So what did he do? Did he give up on his passion for teaching?
Not at all. He continued to champion education, taking on leadership roles in institutions that served Black students. From 1905 to 1908, he served as the principal of St. Paul's Normal and Industrial School in Virginia.
That seems like a significant shift from the Institute for Colored Youth. What kind of school was St. Paul's?
Well, St. Paul's had a heavier emphasis on vocational training. It aligned more closely with Booker T. Washington's philosophy of industrial education. This move might suggest a change in Bouchet's approach, perhaps a pragmatic response to the limited opportunities available to him.
It makes you wonder what was going through his mind. Was he forced to compromise his ideals to continue working in education?
It's a question worth considering. While we can't know his inner thoughts, it's clear he remained deeply dedicated to educating Black students regardless of the specific educational approach.
So after St. Paul's, where did Bouchet's journey take him?
In 1908, he moved to Ohio to become the principal of Lincoln High School. There, he continued to advocate for education until his retirement in 1913 due to illness.
It's inspiring to see that even in the face of constant setbacks, his passion for teaching never wavered.
Absolutely. Edward Bouchet's life is a powerful testament to resilience, but it also highlights the tragic loss of potential. Just imagine the scientific contributions he could have made, the students he could have inspired at the university level.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of the devastating impact of discrimination, not just on individuals, but on society as a whole.
So after he retired, did he return to New Haven?
Yes, he did. Bouchet spent his final years back in his hometown where he passed away in 1918. Sadly, he was buried in an unmarked grave. It's a poignant symbol of the lack of recognition he received during his lifetime.
It's heartbreaking to think that someone who achieved so much, who broke down barriers and dedicated his life to education, was essentially forgotten in death.
It speaks volumes about the enduring power of systemic racism and how it can obscure even the most extraordinary accomplishments. But thankfully, Bouchet's story didn't end there. That's a relief to hear. So how did his legacy eventually get the recognition it deserved?
Yeah, it's incredible to think about how Edward Bouchet's story intersects with so many important chapters in American history, from slavery and Reconstruction to the Jim Crow era and the ongoing fight for civil rights. His life reflects the complexities and challenges faced by Black Americans.
Absolutely. And sadly, some of those same challenges persist today. We still see disparities in STEM fields with underrepresentation of Black and brown individuals. It makes you wonder what we can learn from Bouchet's experience to help address these ongoing inequities.
It's a crucial question. Talent alone isn't enough, right? We need to create systems where everyone has a fair chance, where potential isn't limited by discrimination. What are some key takeaways from Bouchet's story that could help us move toward that goal?
Well, one of the most striking lessons is the need to acknowledge and dismantle systemic barriers. Bouchet had the brilliance, the credentials, yet he was repeatedly denied opportunities because of his race. It underscores how deeply ingrained prejudice can be and how it operates on a structural level. It's a powerful reminder that we need to look beyond individual achievements and examine the broader context. But beyond addressing these systemic issues, what about Bouchet's personal qualities? What can his story teach us about resilience, dedication, and the pursuit of knowledge in the face of adversity?
Bouchet's unwavering commitment to education despite facing constant setbacks is truly remarkable. He never gave up on his passion for teaching, for nurturing young minds. It speaks volumes about his character and his belief in the transformative power of education, especially for those who've been denied opportunities.
His story also highlights the importance of mentorship and support systems. He was fortunate to have people like Alfred Cope who believed in him and invested in his education.
Right.
We need to make sure all talented young people, regardless of background, have access to that kind of support.
Absolutely. Creating networks of allies, advocates, and mentors can make all the difference. It's about fostering an environment where everyone feels empowered to pursue their passions and reach their full potential.
So how did the world eventually start to recognize Bouchet's contributions? You mentioned that thankfully his story didn't end with that unmarked grave.
Yes, thankfully recognition did come, though it was long overdue. It started with a small but significant gesture in 1998 when Yale finally installed a headstone on his grave, a proper resting place finally acknowledging his existence and his importance.
What a powerful symbol. It's like righting a wrong, giving him the respect he deserved all along.
Exactly. And from there, the recognition grew. The American Physical Society created the Edward A. Bouchet Award to honor physicists who have made significant contributions to research and who are actively promoting diversity in the field.
It's a beautiful tribute connecting Bouchet's legacy directly to the ongoing efforts for inclusion and equity in STEM. Are there other ways his story is being honored?
Yes. There's also the Edward Bouchet Abdus-Salam Institute, founded in 1988 to foster collaboration between scientists from developing and developed nations. It's about breaking down global barriers in science and creating opportunities for collaboration and knowledge sharing.
I love that. It feels very much in line with Bouchet's own pioneering spirit, transcending geographical boundaries in the pursuit of knowledge.